everyone. My name is Amelito Enriquez. I need to adjust the mic for obvious reasons. I teach engineering and math here, and it's really a pleasure to be introducing our speaker today. He was a Cañada student, transferred to UCLA in 2007, and he now, in electrical engineering, he got a bachelor's degree, and he now works at QVC. You guys know what QVC is? It's the shopping network. So initially when I saw that, I was really puzzled, electrical engineering and QVC. And then it occurred to me that it makes perfect sense. You know why? Circuit students, what does the symbol Q stand for? Charge. What does the symbol V stand for? Voltage. What? How about C? Capacitance. So, perfect sense, electrical engineering and QVC. Anyway, this morning, I sent him a message on Facebook, very early in the morning, asking him, so, how do you want me to introduce you? What else can I say? And I'm going to read, without his permission, his response to my Facebook message. So remember, the question was, I actually first said, I have to apologize, I have to leave for a meeting in the middle of your presentation at 5:30, and then I asked him, what do you want me to say to introduce you? And his response, wow! WHAAAA, I don't want to do it no more. Exactly what he said. And I was really concerned. Sorry. I was concerned initially, not because we may not end up with a speaker tonight, but really, it's not the Darrell I know, because maybe he still is. I remember him as a student who is always calm, just chill and calm. Even if he has a really, really big test coming up, he's just so calm. Not that he's always prepared for the test, but he's just always calm. And I was thinking to myself, what has UCLA and QVC done to him to panic like this? So that's not a good sign. And then maybe 10 seconds later, he said, LOL, JK. And then I said, oh yeah, it's still there. and you will see, he's really one of the chill. It's like he has the word chill written on his forehead, and you will see that. But it is really such a great pleasure for me, an honor, to be introducing a former student who will tell you about his experiences here at Cañada, at UCLA, and beyond. Thank you for coming. This is Darrell Calderon. Please join me.
Thank you. I didn't know he was going to say it. So came here to talk to you guys about test engineering. First off, I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself, or introduce some random facts about myself. Nicaraguan. So I was born in Nicaragua, and I was raised here in River City. I've always been in River City, so I kind of consider myself Californian. My favorite sport is baseball, and one of my main hobbies is to always go to the Giants games and always go to the Post games. I've got to all the 3 World Series. I also like gym, boxing, stuff. And then I first wanted to go to college and graduate with my family since we moved here from Nicaragua. So I went here, Cañada College. Back then it was much smaller than this. This building I don't think existed, or at least it did over there. This side didn't, or it's just completely different. Everything's moved. There's just so many new things that I've seen here. So I came here fresh out of college in 2003. I had classes that involved career paths and stuff with one of the counselor ladies. I forgot her name. She's not here anymore, but she was really cool. helped me out a lot, figure out like, what to do, because I didn't really know like what kind of major I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do some in engineering, I don't know, build robots or something, you know, the usual stuff. So then they also introduced me to assist.org, I think it was called. And like from there, I got to see all the classes that I should take, and like I see I have to take like every single physics class, every single math class. Luckily, I don't have to do every single chemistry class. And then that got me through, semester for semester. I had all of my path, and then like about like a year into it, some of the classes that I had like didn't actually count for UCs, so I kind of lost 1 year. But it was okay. I kind of was lost anyway, so that wasn't gonna happen anyway. And then I started getting into all the classes that are transferable, and then I was able to apply finally to all of the UCs. Well, I applied to 4 UCs or 5 UCs for winter of 2007, and I also applied to Cal Poly. The UC system had like a really simple you call it form to fill out, like just what classes you had, and talk about like why you want to be in this school. But Cal Poly had like, oh, here's like a bunch of courses, please check all the courses that you've taken. So it was like 4 pages, and a check mark like 1 thing. So I didn't get accepted to that school. But then I also applied to UCLA, which is I was pretty excited that I got in. Usually, like Cal Poly sends like a regular little card saying thank you for applying. But when you get accepted, you get like a little big packet. So it's like yes, man. So then I went in with a intended major of electrical engineering. So when I started in electrical engineering, it was just like the base ones, but then towards the end, you need to choose like what pathway you want to go into. And like the School of Engineering here had like 7 pathways. I found the systems and signals option to be very interesting. It was like a lot of calculus stuff. The computer science one, obviously. And then there was just a bunch of like lasers and semiconductors and nanotechnology stuff. But the thing with those is it's too much reading, too much textbooks. But I also realized that they had another one called computer science and engineering, which I thought was pretty neat. It did some of the stuff that you do in electrical engineering, but you did more digital circuit stuff. But like with regular electrical engineering, you have to do analog. That's pretty bad at analog stuff. So I want to show you how my day went when I was at the School of Engineering. In here, the little stick figure got more sleep than I did, though. Usually it was more of a assignment with like the guy that was at night. It was pretty brutal. There's a lot of homework to do, but it was pretty accurate though, because that's pretty much how it went. Like I wake up and I'm tired, and I'm like, oh my god, I have class. Okay, I'm going. I'm lecture. I'm listening. By the end of the lecture, I'm like, all right, I gotta get out of here. I'm at lunch, and then you have all the other classes, like I think they're called. I forgot. Tutorial classes. It's not the one that like usually the TA will help you out with your homework. They'll talk. And then, as soon as I get back to my place I was living, I'd always go on the internet, on Facebook too. Back then, Facebook was barely starting, so there was like the Facebook apps had a lot of popularity. So they had like Farmville. I used to like playing Fishville or something. So I used to like make fishies, and then like sometimes when I get back, they were dead. And on top, I'm like, oh. But it was a pretty good experience being at UCLA. It's a huge campus. Sometimes I had to walk like 20 minutes just to get to my class, but it wasn't that bad. And of course, there's just so many people. There's so many like resources over there that you can use and figure out what you want to do. So then upon graduating, I started working for a company called Oodle. It was like a little startup company in San Mateo. Initially when I started, I was kind of looking for a job as like an electrical engineer, so I was looking for something like in a lab or something. But ended up being, I found this job through a friend of mine that was actually the VP of engineering at the company. So he told me that they were hiring QA engineers, and I was like, yeah, this guy engineer on it, all right. So I joined. I learned a lot. There was a lot to learn because it involved like testing and with like web development. So I learned in that. I learned like the programming language PHP. This is what I currently use, and it was the first time working at like a company and like a startup company. And the startup company was pretty cool because they're like really relaxed, and like sometimes you could just like have a beer while you're working and stuff. So good times. And then like sometimes when we work, we just go outside and play at the Central Park in San Mateo, doing soccer, doing competitive sports. No, nothing, contact. And then that company actually got acquired by QVC. So as Dr. E was saying, it's a shopping network. I can't say like I use QVC.com a lot because even our demographic for this company is like 40-year-old, all women, and like it's like our ideal user is always going to be like that person. So they try to change it a little bit to go down, but QVC doesn't want anything like that. And like why we got acquired was we were to create a new like social like website for them, so that way they can be more social, do more internet instead of like always just TV. And these guys are huge. Actually, I was able to go up to Pennsylvania. Their headquarters is in Westchester, so I got to go see the headquarters, the big company. It was pretty fun seeing like what actually like who I work for is such a huge company. They have headquarters in India and Europe, China, and I heard that they're making one in Brazil. So they're pretty much everywhere. And so I have a few pictures here. I don't know what this room is. I don't even know what they were doing here, but I know that you just watch TV. But, I mean, they have like all those cues everywhere. And then they also have, like in like the big building, they have a cafeteria. So here, I take a picture of, I don't know if this was a pasta or something. The food's okay. I can't, I'd say like, if it was on Yelp, I'd give it 3 stars or something. And then, they also gave us a tour of all their studios. The studios are also within the headquarters. There's all these cameras. Like, you can even talk to, like, they don't really care if there's people there. I don't know how they do it. They're just filming and stuff. All the sets. So lastly, I also wanted to say that, other than like what I've done, I'm also interested in Android development. Right here on the right is like made a little app. This app is meant for to follow your Congress members. And one of the things that I'm interested in Android development is because the 2 companies that I work for, we had potential to build an app and we never did. So I always thought that would be pretty cool. So when a colleague of mine asked me to work on something, I hopped right in. We're getting started. It's not like we're rich or something. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good experience. I'll have to follow up in my career path. Probably go towards this, do more of this this year and years to come. Okay, so. I want to talk to you guys about work. So, at work, working for the team that's called Quality Assurance. When I started working, like I said, I had no idea what quality assurance is. Pretty much me here. Okay. So basically, what quality assurance does is like they test the product. They make sure that things work, and so like then they could release the product onto the live site and hopefully everything still works. There's two types of things that you can do. There's what's called black box and white box testing. So black box is your typical quality assurance analyst or engineer. They'll go around the website and test it, make test plans, make test cases, and they'll sign off on whether or not something's working, something's not working. They'll file a report defining a defect so that the people who are working on it, the web developers, go back and they fix it. And then the white box is for the software engineers. So like they're able to test their code, test like the websites, test the features that they're working on, all through code. So what I'm in here for that is automated testing. So like there's tons of stuff that you can do with automated testing. There's a bunch of frameworks that you can use. And one of the main things that you want to do to work with this is get it what's called continuous integration testing. So basically what that means is you want to automate all your automation so that way you can constantly test everything that you do, because everybody's going to put code in and somebody might forget a file and destroy the entire website. So like it'll constantly go in and constantly give you feedback to make sure the stuff is working correctly. So my initial task was to build one of these, to build a framework, a big one. So how you typically can go about this is you use usually like when you make a project, you'll have this, which is called a software development lifecycle. So you'll start out with requirement analysis, which is basically you want to figure out what your customer wants or your stakeholders, and then design. So that's like how it look like or how it's going to function. Implementation is where all the coding goes into play, so like actually making it. And then testing, so you want to make sure you test your code. And then release. So release is pretty much where you evaluate if everything is correct, and if not, you just go back again and do it all over again. And usually, this will go over and over again for everything that you do in the industry. Okay, so let's get started. I'm trying to make an automation framework, and I have a few requirements from the company that they need, usually from quality assurance, and for software engineers, they need this stuff to work. So since we use all PHP, everything's done with PHP. So I need to reduce the number of PHP scripts that I've generated or created, because we don't want to have a bunch of like PHP scripts that you have to like dig like forever in order to find like one particular test case and change it. We want to reuse code where possible. These type of scripts, like you can always reuse the code, because you're going to go like in stacks. So you want to go open the website, 2 click a button, and then 3 sign in or something like that. So it's always going to be the same 3 things. Like if you have a small test and if you have a big long test that has like 10 steps, the first like few are always going to be roughly the same. So we want to make it so that only one of those files gets created. The important thing that we also need is actually an automation tool. So we need to make sure that we have a tool that a lot of people use, has a good community. So basically what that means is there's a lot of developers that are backing it. There's a lot of work being done. It's being worked upon. Like bug fixes are going into it. So you want to make sure that you're looking at like a repository that has this, that they're constantly working on it and improving on it. Because if not, then you're stuck with like version 2, and then everybody else is like in version 4 for like better. And then important thing is make it easier for everyone. So like at my company, the quality assurance team is composed of regular black box testers. So I have to also take into account that they're not going to be able to do any programming. So and then we also kind of want to make it like quicker, so that everybody else can do it, including like product. So like if they want to go into it and make test if you do it. And then clearly if you're working on it, then you should be able to do this fairly quickly. And then also I need to create I also had to create a set of tools for since it's an internal tool, I'll have them in an admin. Okay, so like I was saying, you need an automation tool for this. So one of the most popular ones that are out nowadays that a lot of the industry uses is called Selenium. Basically, Selenium automates browsers. So it's pretty simple. You're going to use their API to run all those tests and to have it do repetitive tasks for you. So that way, quality assurance can focus on new features versus going back and making sure that login works. And then this particular tool is actually used by many, and then they have it's used or it's what do you call it? It supports many programming languages. So you don't have to worry about if your company is full Ruby stack company or PHP stack company, a Java stack company. It's gonna have your programming language. Okay. And then it also has another pretty cool tool called the IDE, which is we can kind of use when you're actually going about making these tests because it records all of the stuff for you. Whenever there's in HTML and CSS, you can always choose different type of selectors. So you have CSS selectors and IDs that you can look at the HTML and things to pinpoint where you want to click. The other thing that I'm going to use is Symfony 2. This is an MVC framework written in PHP, and this is actually I'm trying to incorporate it with our entire code base, and our entire code base is all ran with this. And this way I can use a bunch of components. There's Doctrine, which Doctrine is a class that connects to your database. And console command, which is what I really want to use, because that way on your terminal you can have it, you can define your own command to run. So this way I can have it, makes it easy for the software users to use it on their own local machine. And also make it easy for me to make a UI, because that way I just got to run that command and everything is done. Dependency injection is also a good thing to use. This is mostly just for development. It's just the way so you don't instantiate all your objects too much. And then MVC means model view controller. So this is what your typical architecture in websites or web applications would look like, or also apps too, the iOS or Android always follow this also. The model is where all of your classes will reside, your business logic, and what is, in this case, I would have a model for a test case. So it would be I have an object that defines one test case, its name, its ID, the script. The view is simply what the user will see on the browser, the HTML. And then the controller is the logic that the web server, what the web server talks to, the logic that the web server talks to. Alright, so here's my implementation for the step where I want to generate these PHP scripts, so that way I don't have to reuse a lot of code, and also so I don't have to type all this out. What I plan to do is create a little file. So this file will go into a type of generator, so basically some script that will read this file, and then it'll map out all the commands, and then spit out a PHP script, WebDriver script. And then this way, I can keep spitting them out as many times as I want without having to do anything. And then also you want to keep it so it doesn't actually spit out as many times as you want to do it, unless if there's an update and you change something. So what it would kind of look like is like this. So you have an input file. So you can do this many ways. I can use a markup language, an XML document, HTML table, and then it's going to contain the set of commands. So like the open, the click, the wait for, the click and wait, those are all commands from that Selenium automation tool. And so it's pretty straightforward. Like when I open up example.com and I want to click on something that has the CSS attribute of area, and then the click and wait of a button with ID. And then, so I'm going to take all this, and the code of what it's going to do is it's going to generate this file for me, so that I don't have to type all this up. And then the only thing that I'll ever need to focus on is this file itself. So that way it'll keep fixing itself. So if something like if we change the button ID to like button 2, all I gotta do is go back here to 2, and then when we run this command, it'll automatically generate over here. This is like the PHP code for the web driver. So like the open is like the this session get, and then the click is the this session find element. So what the web driver wants to do is wants to find an element, and then you can define a selector. So in this case, a CSS selector. And then this API can select a bunch of ways to use it. So there's click, and then you can also get text from it, and some other parts of it. So now for the part where I want to build the console command, I'll have something like this. So like since I'm using the framework, I can use all of the classes and all of like the stuff that comes built in with the framework. So there's one called container alert command that automatically it gives me all of these methods, and all I gotta do is overwrite them. So this way I'm making a command that's called launch test, and then I can give it a description, and I gotta tell it the argument that it's gonna pull in. And then of course all the logic to run the test is gonna go under execute. So all this stuff I didn't have to build, I didn't have to like work super hard to get it working, because I'm using the framework. And then what it would look like on your terminal is you would run the PHP console command. Like, so this one's for Symfony, so it'll look like this. And then here, what I'm showing you is this is the model. So like I was saying earlier, like you will make one of these. So this one is for the test case. So I'm saying the test case will contain an ID, the name, an input file, and then it can have like other attributes. And then since I'm using Doctrine, I can easily connect to the database that I have in my server. So that way I can post everything on the database, and instead of having like a bunch of files like in a certain server that only that server can run. But this one will be conveniently available for all. So now that I've gone through this, that was my implementation. Now for my testing phase, so now I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's going to work. It doesn't meet my requirements, so I have to go back and change things. So this will definitely reduce the number of PHP scripts because I'm generating only one. And then I'll be able to reuse the code if possible because I'm mapping it, and I am using the same session for each one. And then the tool that I chose has a huge community. There's like if I run into any problems, I can Google it, or I can go and read the documentation. And I'm making it easy for everybody because I'm using the command. So that way I can use the command everywhere, and then put it on all the servers, and then it will work seamlessly. And the last step is, that we're released. But in this case, since it's an internal tool, we're just done, and I just gotta go back and maintain it and stuff like that. And then, like I was saying, one of the things that you want to do is continuous integration. So that way, like you can automate your automation stuff. So, like, there's another tool. It's called Jenkins, and that one you can add scripts to it also, and then it can run your command. So, see, I'm making it easy to do this, and then that way, like, when there's a new build, they can come in and it'll run all the tests on top of it. Alright, so I made a demo for you so the difference between this one and one that I was making is this one's in Java. But it's basically the same thing. Since it's available for a bunch of languages. So in Java, you usually import all the stuff that you need. So like in your libraries, I'll put in the Selenium stuff, put the server, and you put the bindings, or like the API, and you're all set to go. So all you gotta do is make sure that so like with WebDriver, you can do it with Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, all the web browsers, and like you can have like different versions and everything. So like in this case, in my setup, I'm making a Firefox browser, and then this teardown is usually after. So the bottom part here is the actual test. So that other one will run once this part finishes. So in this case, my test is going to open up pizzahut.com. I'm pretty much going to order a pizza. I want to automate that I can order a meat lover's pizza and have it delivered to me. This is very important functionality for pizzahut.com. Okay, so let me go ahead and so just imagine like I'll have all these things running so that I'll test your code and all the stuff that you put. So here's my meat lover's pizza. I have it on super fast, so as you can see, it passed. And on the IDE, it doesn't tell you like how many insertions you make and what it actually did, or it doesn't spit out a log. I didn't have time to look into that because I don't know. I don't use this, so. But typically, like it'll spit out like a log, and then that way, like that's the report that you can look at, and then that's the stuff that you'll look into. And then you can go back to your manager and say, yeah, this is good to go, and release it onto production if you want. Oops. Okay, so it's pretty much what I work on at work. That's what I do. Try to maintain it, try to improve on it. You can also add all this stuff for like mobile devices, so like mobile web and native applications. Wanted to tell you guys, that like when I first started coming to school, like I didn't know like what I wanted to do and stuff like that, and I didn't necessarily do a whole lot of talking or research like when I went to school, like about like what exactly I want to do. Like this, like web development wasn't something that I would think of doing, or like development testing. But I'm really glad like my friend got me that job, and I learned quite a lot of stuff, and I think that I could have gotten there sooner if I would have kind of done like a little bit more talking, and also like to talk to more like people who are in this position. I think that you guys should take advantage of all the stuff that the school offers you, whether it's here, whether it's at whatever university that you choose to go to. Look at all the stuff that the career centers are doing. Like there's a talk and thing. Like people are coming, like Intel, talk to them, seeing like what exactly their field is, and looking at their LinkedIn profiles. I think like that type of stuff, it'll be very helpful for you. And then, yes, any questions?
How does your automation software deal with CAPTCHA?
CAPTCHA?
CAPTCHA, like the, weird images.
Yeah. There's usually other APIs that can use for those things. So, because like typically they'll give you a code. So like you can read the code that's in there in the HTML. So you'll have to like use your whatever programming language you're using and grab that information. Because like it doesn't do things visually, so you have to have some type of information to retrieve.
Darrell, can I ask you, what do you wish you had known when you were here, maybe a year before you transferred or 2 years before you transferred? What do you wish that you know now that you wish you could have told yourself at that stage?
Well, I always just kind of thought to myself that, I didn't really know exactly what any of the majors actually did. Like I just assumed that this will do that. And, when I was there, there was actually I had a classmate that she was about to graduate, and she told me that she had done her electrical engineering pathway in lasers, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat, right? And you think lasers and shoot people or something, but it's really really different than that. And she also was like, oh, I wish I kind of did a different pathway. So I wish from that particular moment I had done started even more looking into the stuff that I wanted to do, because I eventually went up to do systems and signals in electrical engineering, which is for digital signal processing and audio processing, image processing. And while that was all pretty cool, I really liked all the computer science classes. So then I was like, oh, well, I should switch to the computer science option. And by then it's okay, well, if I take these two classes, I'll be done in 2 quarters. But if I go back, it's going to be another year. So I just kind of think could just look more into it beforehand.
PC or Mac?
PC.
Seriously, when you transferred to UCLA, do you believe you were ready? And if you felt like you weren't ready, what advice would you give to students transferring?
So when I transferred, I was not ready. It was complete change. Here, it's calm. Over there, it was really hectic. Especially because here is the semester system, but over there is a quarter system, and I did in 4 weeks we had a midterm, and I was I haven't even learned anything yet. So to prepare yourself, just either kind of go within the same kind of semester system, or if you want to switch more of a quick pace, do quarter system. So I kind of thought should have been kind of prepared and kind of looked into it also, oh well, these guys are all quarter system, and it shouldn't be that much difference, but it is a lot of difference. But I ended up really liking the quarter system because it was just quicker, even though I just stuck to my books. Well, also the other thing that a lot of the students or my classmates, they went to other colleges, and I was kind of the only one going to UCLA. Kind of think if you can go with if you transfer with one of your classmates, somebody that's close to you, a friend. if not, one of the mistakes that I made when I was there is I was trying to do everything by myself. I was like, nah, I don't need to join all these groups, I don't need to do this, I need to talk to anybody. But just kind of like try to find somewhere that you can go, like a center or something, and talk to other people. Definitely talk to your classmates in your actual classes. It'll help you a lot. Because there were some things that, like, since I went also in winter, they didn't have like orientation. So like I didn't know like you have to go like certain places to get books, and I learned that from one of my classmates, and I was like, oh, this sounds like all the stuff he's talking about, and I'm using a book that he doesn't use. So definitely like just kind of communicate and try to talk to your classmates.
Do they have tutors available? Like housing paths, tutors, learning centers?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so when I was there, there's usually like groups like the IEEE group had a bunch of tutors. So they tutor like in like a lot of the classes for engineering, computer science also. It's just also dependent on like your school. Like you gotta, because there's at least like at the School of Engineering UCLA, there was like different floors, and you had to go to like the different floors to find the different tutors. And then also like for like math, there's always a bunch of like math tutors, like differential equations. Also there's tutors in like the ones.
So you're more like an automation engineer right now. So you said you wanted to change computer science. Do you feel like you should have picked that, or?
Well, the thing is that like you do half and half. Like if you do it this way. I just kind of think that there's a little bit more stuff that I could have learned, even though like I might not use all of it, because part of it of computer science, like we do a lot of statistics stuff, we'll do a lot of computer organization stuff, and then you'll do a lot of software stuff. And like I wanted to focus on the software stuff.
Because there's like black box and white box, you're more like a white box guy, and you do more programming. That's why I asked that.
Yeah. Just like, but one of the main classes that was pretty common in both is data structures and algorithms. So like, as long as you got those kind of fundamentals, it helps out a lot. More questions?
Between your experiences at the small startup company and now that you're under a bigger umbrella with QVC, how would you describe the different dynamic between the sides of ownership?
Yeah, so like when I was at the startup, it was more personal. Like my boss was like right here, I could talk to him, and I could talk to anybody really. At QVC, my bosses are all the way in Pennsylvania, and I have to send them an email. And it turns out that sometimes they won't message you back because you're not at a high enough level. And like, I was like, okay, fine, I'm not going to work on this because you won't tell me what to do. So it's I really like more like less of a huge ass corporation versus like a startup. Because a startup is just more chill, really. There's like a lot of stuff that you have to climb up and find the right person. There's also like a in-house website that we have that shows you like the organization chart, so you have to go look for the person. It's just a pain, and they're like really slow at everything.
I have one.
No.
Is Darrell on the shopping network?
If you're an intern.
Oh, really? we are always constantly looking for internship positions for our students, so if you're interested, maybe if you can try one.
Actually, I do that too. Like, I do an internship program. Every 3 months, you get like interns. There's like a school called Portnoy Computer School. That's like the only one that I heard of that does like supposedly strictly like computer technology and quality assurance like based stuff. So we usually go to those guys.
So I do have a serious question. What? No, I think they can hear me. So beyond QVC, what do you see yourself doing maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Beyond.
Well, right now, I'm kind of looking into moving on, looking for more like harder stuff to do. Done some back-end work, but I think like in 5 years, I'd probably pick up on something like more of a mobile side. Mobile side's pretty interesting, like Android or something.
Any more questions? Thank you very much. Question?
Did you ever consider going back to school when you were working either in the startup or the undergrad?
Yeah, I did for like, I bought the book and then. Like, to tell you the truth, like I did, like I was thinking about it, but the thing is that like a lot of the companies, like they're mostly just looking for like a bachelor's in computer science or related field. So I just felt like kind of going back and wasting a bunch of money was kind of worthless.
So the money was good enough to not have to go back?
Huh?
The money was good enough to not have to go back?
Yeah, the having money was definitely a factor in my going back.